called on Congress to pass the bill on a call with reporters Wednesday, adding that the Transportation Department is developing a new rule to require railroads to require real-time electronic information be given to first responders, should this happen again anywhere in the country. Folks, that's already been done, thanks to Norfolk Southern and Rapid SOS. This process went live as of 1/17, so half a month ago. It's run through Rapid SOS. 90% of the population is covered by an ECC that currently has Rapid SOS. Any derailment is going to immediately result in electronic data pushed out digitally to the ECC and responders on their standard tools that we use every day. While I applaud the Secretary of Transportation for trying to push this through, folks, it's already there. Thanks to Rapid SOS and Norfolk for coming together and joining to make this happen. This is crucial to responders, crucial to citizens. I challenge all the other Class 1 railroads to do the same. I challenge any railroad, but specifically the Class 1s, to step up and join in and make this information accessible to the responders.
Good morning. I'm Chad Edwards. I'm the new village manager. I was not here during the derailment. I'm here now, and I'm glad to be here now and be a part of the solution, which is what we're doing. I'm committed to leading this community forward in my new role. East Palestine is a great place because of its people. The people here have an amazing work ethic. It has a great location, and the schools are fantastic. It really is a good place to be. I'm excited to share some of the actions we've taken. We've engaged Bricker Graydon Consultants to create an economic development plan. The Village of East Palestine Community Improvement Corporation has been formed, which will be another tool that we can use that can help us do things that we can't do as a village. We've partnered with WRL Advertising for rebranding and enhanced communication. Today, we're proud to unveil our new logo and tagline. This is going to be part of a comprehensive effort to revitalize our image and enhance communication. We also have a new newsletter out, and you're welcome to take one of these on your way out the door. I'm also pleased to introduce our new website, and it will be a single source for factual, consistent, easy to understand news and information. And we're also launching new social media channels and again, the village newsletter to keep everyone informed of what's going on. And on top of that, I make myself available if anybody would like to ask questions. Anybody in the community, I'm happy to talk to.
Thank you all. Now I'm going to open the floor to questions. I'm going to ask those who submitted their own questions in advance to go first. So do we have a Deanne Johnson? Yes, thank you.
My question was pretty much what is the plan going forward, and that's pretty much what you've gone over. So going forward, would you try to come up with a thing for what you said? I didn't know what you were going to go over when I came. So talk about some of the efforts of what the CIC is going to be doing.
So the CIC is it's like an economic development corporation. So what it will be doing will be able to purchase land. It will be able to purchase dilapidated structures and work with those structures to either restore them or tear them down. I mean, that's a specific kind of thing that the CIC will do. We will be promoting businesses. We will be trying to recruit businesses and land purchases. So it's something to engage with the business world and hopefully bring people into East Palestine, where I might add it's safe to operate.
Thank you. Is Kelly Yamanuchi here?
Is it on? Yeah. All right. Norfolk Southern has, since the derailment, worked in cooperation with the village. They have stepped up and done exactly what they said were going to do, whether it be remediation or helping to get the town back to where it was. We've had no issues with them. We're holding them to the fire, as the mayor likes to say. We're holding them accountable just like everybody else is and just like they should be. But quite honestly, they're working well with us and they're doing whether it be a presidential directive, a EPA order, or request from us in regards to remediation, cleanup, and revitalization, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Thank you.
Anything to add to that, sir?
No, said it best.
WFMJ?
Mayor, we're chatting this week for you, but in the last couple of weeks, we tried to get a hold of business owners just to see how the progress has gone in the last year. Several of them have been reluctant to talk to us, saying that they've been getting pushback to not talk about how business may be picking up. One went as far as to say that they were getting threatening calls. I guess, could you explain this?
Threatening calls from whom?
Just threatening calls. That's all that person said.
Not, I mean, it didn't come from,
Just a reluctancy, I guess, to talk about how business may be improving.
I don't know. Honestly, I can't give you an answer for that, so.
I talk to businesses pretty frequently in town. I would encourage, I mean, I don't know where these threats are coming from, but I mean, not from the village. And I would encourage any business to come talk to me if they're concerned.
WKBN?
Good morning. Thanks, guys, for doing this. To somewhat dovetail on what Corey asked, what we have heard over and over is the issue of misinformation, especially out of town media that don't know this area, don't know you. What are you folks doing, especially Chad and Mayor, to kind of overcome what some in the community believe is misinformation being spread across the country by media that doesn't know this area?
We,
So, yeah, and that's a huge problem, Jerry. You bring up a great point, the amount of misinformation getting put out there by your counterparts, by some of you in this room. The fact is you have to talk to everybody. You can't just talk to that select few that are louder than most. It's safe here. Businesses are growing here. We're trying to promote things here. And part of that is us stepping up to the plate as a community and getting information out better. And that's where WRL, the newsletter, the new website, the new brand, the new tagline, that's where that all comes in, is us doing a better job of getting that information out, promoting that positive that we see in this public, and letting the world know that it's okay to be here, that we're doing better, we're getting better. It was a horrible disaster. We acknowledge that. There are people that still have concerns. We acknowledge them. We don't downplay any of that. But at the same time, there's good stuff here, and that's what we're going to promote. And in conjunction with WRL and our new means of getting that out there, we hope that you folks take that information and push it out along with us to help us improve communications.
Thank you. Spectrum News?
I'm sure you guys heard President Biden said he's going to visit, so I understand this is going to be his first time. It's been a year. Do you think that he should have visited earlier?
yes, I've said that on multiple occasions. He should have beat former President Trump here. But he didn't, so, I mean, now we're just a year later and he's gonna come and visit, so.
With that, we'll accept assistance from anyone. I mean, everyone's welcome in East Palestine, including the president.
Thank you. Tara Morgan?
I have spoken with several business owners over the past beyond what you're doing with the new logo and the new tagline, what are you doing to bolster business?
There are some things in the works, and I can't go into too much more detail than that. But this is going to be an ongoing process, and there's going to be a lot of different resources involved. We hope you'll all come back in a year and see us and see the progress we've made.
Terry, to answer that, to expound on what Chad said, I think a lot of that has to do with the development of the CIC and working with them to promote the business, promote the growth that sometimes the village administration doesn't have the ability to do because of laws and regulations. The ability that we now have by having that group here and running with that group, that's what their focus is going to be, is creating that better economic development for down the road.
News Nation?
Hey guys, thanks for doing this tonight. It's good to talk to you. My name is Chief Drabeck, and it goes back to the derailment and the days that followed. Knowing what we know now about what Oxyvinyl said to the NTSB, that they saw that the temperature was cooling in the car. My question is not directed at you, but it's out of curiosity. Did you feel a pressure from Norfolk Southern to arrive at a decision to vent and burn, despite the fact that Oxyvinyl said the temperature in that car was cool?
No, I did not. And let's get something straight. If Oxyvinyl felt that and Oxyvinyl was sure, then they should have walked up and said something, which they did not. So they hid in the background, didn't say anything to anybody. So shame on them. Would I have changed what we did? No. Based on the information we had, the scene that we had, and looking at the safest way to handle that situation for the public, myself and the unified command, including the US EPA, the Ohio EPA, the governor's office, and every other entity that was there, decided that that controlled vent and burn was the safest thing to ensure the safety of the public.
Thank you.
Rapid SOS? Sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, now I'm going to open the floor to any other questions. I'll call on you one by one. Your hands. Thank you. Go ahead.
Dave Youngers from WJW Cleveland. The campaign seems maybe directed to those who aren't, as Jerry said, familiar with East Palestine. But we do know that there are some residents of East Palestine who left and who have concerns and haven't come back. And Chief, I know you're saying, well, you know, this is a small percentage, so I want to make this
Sure.
seem like everybody in East Palestine is scared.
Right.
But we know that there are people who have left their homes and haven't come back. So how do you market the community to them to make them safe and feel comfortable coming back?
We're doing what we can to make them feel safe and feel comfortable. And I know a lot of that has to go back to testing. And I'm sure that there are a percentage of those, and I can't guarantee it, but my speculation is there are a percentage of those that don't believe the testing that's going on, that don't believe in the EPA, don't trust the EPA, don't trust those entities that are doing the testing. They're the subject matter experts. They're what the government has put in place to ensure this. You live in Cleveland, I assume, right?
Cleveland area.
Okay.
I'm actually from nearby here.
Okay, so Cleveland area. Do you use the water at your house out of your city water system?
Filter. Yeah,
Do you shower?
absolutely.
Okay, so that your water in your home is tested on a regular basis, just as ours is, through an EPA-approved facility, just like everywhere else in the United States. Every one of you use water that is tested by this company. The people staying at the hotels that are afraid to come back are using water tested by the same facilities that are testing the water for here. So let's think about that. We don't trust them because of what happened here. And I get that. I feel for them. It's a mental trauma. I get it. Some of them are having medical issues, and I understand that, and I feel for them, and I hope that we can develop plans, which we are working on, to get medical testing for long term, to get treatment for long term. But the bottom line is, if you're anywhere else but here, you're trusting those stats, you're trusting that data. Just because the train derailed here, the EPA is not going to fictitiously make up numbers because it's just here. Those testing facilities are governed by the same company that's governing them here. I hope that we can make them feel better. I hope that we can give them the feeling that it's safe to come back to their homes. I would love everybody to come back. And I know that medical monitoring and testing is a concern, and we're working on that diligently. We really are. But that takes time because there's a lot of parameters with that, and we don't want to do it wrong. We want to make sure it's right. But it's safe to be here. And, you know, a lot of these chemicals involved in this were sensitizers. Everybody reacts differently to things. Some people have allergies, peanuts, seafood, grass, bees. Some people are more sensitive to these chemicals that were involved in this than others. We're hoping that we can make it better for everybody. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, and with that, I moved here, and one of the questions that I was asked, was I afraid to move here? I was not. I trust those entities because I've been on the other side of the table. They don't play around when it comes to testing water. If there is a problem in our water, it's not going to be something that can be hidden. It will be public and everyone will know it. It is tested, as the chief alluded to, just like every other city, every other town, all the towns I've worked in. I mean, they don't play. I mean, it's serious, and if there was a problem, they'll shut it down. I mean, you'll know about it. And right now, there's no problem.
Thank you both.
Question revolving around testing. Right along East Haggard, all of the buildings there has been concern expressed about soil underneath the foundation. Will any of those buildings need to be torn down and the soil tested underneath?
So there's testing going on still. There's still ongoing testing down there. Those results aren't in, so I really can't speak to that, Tara. As of right now, I would say no, based on what I'm hearing. But again, I'm not doing the testing. You know, the EPA is overseeing that, as they should. And it's a long process, and quite frankly, it drives me insane how long it takes to get results back. I've been yelling about that to everybody that'll listen. But in order to get stuff right, it has to be tested a certain way, and they're following the recommended parameters to do that. So once we have that data, we'll be able to answer that question better. But for now, all I can say is that testing is going on, and they're doing their best to make sure that those facilities and businesses are safe to operate.
Jerry.
Chief, you gave up the microphone. I was going to ask you one thing. We have heard from you, we've heard from other first responders over the last year, the issues you folks had the night of February 3rd going forward with communications. Not even just folks letting everybody know what was on those cars, but just being able to talk to each other. Yesterday, you know, a house exploded 2 counties to the north, and they had the exact same trouble. Fire departments couldn't communicate. Where are you folks in trying to get, and this is a statewide problem, get those problems resolved so that you are able to communicate better with your fellow firefighters and first responders?
Sure, and thanks, Jerry. And folks, this is where I get on my soapbox. Communication in the state of Ohio, let alone primarily Columbiana County, because that's where we're at, is horrible. It's a disgrace. New legislation, new bills just got passed at the state level for communication, for 911 systems. You know, everybody here pays a tax on their cell phone for the 911 system. Everybody is aware of that, right? You look at other states, predominantly, let's go Pennsylvania because they're so close. Pennsylvania is almost $2 for their tax to fund the 911 centers. The state of Ohio is 40. Let's think about that. And out of that 40 cents, Columbiana County gets a percentage of that. There's currently, if I'm correct, 5 PSAPs, which are 911 centers in Columbiana County. 5. None of us operate on the same frequency. The EMA director, Director Clark, Peggy Clark, has been pushing along with all of us to get a consolidated 911 center in this county to make that communication better. It all comes down to funding. Funding the 911 centers and the emergency services should be a top priority for any administration. People don't just pick up the phone and call 911 because they get bored. Well, I can't say that, some do. But predominantly, when you dial those 3 numbers, that is the worst day of your life. That should be a priority. That centralized system should be in place. There should be a centralized frequency that we all use so that we all can communicate more effectively. We should be able to communicate with any county coming in, any state coming in. And that's a problem that needs addressed. The funding needs to be found somewhere to make this project go through. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi there, Kate Drisick with 19 News up in Cleveland. I was just wondering, this is great that you guys have this plan in place, a new campaign. When you see yourself from a year from now, what does that look like? Are we going to see, more businesses? What exactly, for the city manager, would you ideally like to see a year from now in East Palestine?
Most economic development programs I've worked with in the past take time, but I would expect to see significant progress in a year. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 new businesses, at least 3 buildings in town, either torn down or rehabilitated. Now, those are kind of, I'm throwing big numbers, but I mean, it takes time for these things.
Stephen?
Understand Norfolk Southern has obviously been putting the bill for cleanup, but a year in, do you think they should have had someone here today who also answered what's being done to help with the
No, this is about progress. This is about the future. We are taking some questions about the past, but we want to move on. We want to continue to have them be our partners, but this is us now. This is the village. We're starting new and fresh, and we appreciate their cleanup. They are the ones that caused the incident, so they should have fit the bill the whole time like they have been doing. But this is about the future of East Palestine and moving on from this.
Question for both of you. EPA is basically saying they've said this week, we're seeing no signs of contamination. They're saying they're not suggesting there's a health risk. Yet independent testing for the past months and new testing has shown that there's high levels of carcinogens in the creeks. There's an environmental watchdog group called Three Rivers Waterkeeper just yesterday came out with this report.
Are they following the same standards that the EPA uses? Are they doing the same test and following the same qualitative standards?
I'm not a scientist, but my question is about, do you feel that the EPA is being transparent with the town of East Palestine?
Absolutely. Without a doubt, unequivocally, 100% transparent.
So to add to what the chief just said, I mean, there are protocols for testing, and I'm not saying that these independent testers are doing it wrong, but we would need to see that. There are certain things that have to be done in order to make sure that that test is specific to what its purpose is, and those include some. You just can't take a vial and get water and then go test. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into that. Temperatures of the water, different, making sure you don't get any foreign elements in it. So to address that, if an independent test came in that was negative, I would like to see their methods before I would make a conclusion.
But even their own testing, like there's been discussion. I think Deborah Shore testified that the dioxin testing happened in March here, but now through FOIA, we're understanding just today that there was dioxin testing in February that showed very high levels of dioxin near the train site. So that's why there's this distrust.
Well, wouldn't you expect higher levels near the train site right after the train burned?
Absolutely, but they never referenced that those existed.
Okay, but they're there. they're there now. I can't help that Deborah did not recognize that they were there, and she may not have had that information, and that's not us, that's them. I could tell you that the information that they give us on a daily basis is information that we use. Somebody missing one little step, I can't answer that of why she didn't say anything about February. There's been testing ongoing since the night of the derailment. Shortly after the derailment, testing has been going on. Both water, air, soil, all that's been going on.
Thank you.
I have a question for Pete. So after the derailment, it took like at least an hour for firefighters and emergency personnel to kind of know, what was in the cars that burned off. And I know the Railroad Safety Act had some amendments to, train emergency personnel for these situations. However, it's currently stalled. So does the fire department or emergency personnel have a plan to maybe just train for that, or, a protocol developing in the future in case something like this would happen again?
You just walked in, didn't you?
Did you guys already go over that?
We did. But for you, yes, there are training protocols in place. We have updated our training protocols. We're pushing for more training to the point where we're pushing enough for training that we're building a training center in cooperation with Norfolk here in the village. But on top of that, as I alluded to earlier, Rapid SOS has partnered with Norfolk Southern. And again, I challenge all the other railroads, if you're listening, step up to the plate and do the same. That when a incident happens, that information will be to the first responders immediately, which is needed throughout.
Thank you. Lily?
Thank you guys for doing this. I'm Lily Coleman with Channel 4 in Pittsburgh. We heard from Chad about, what your hopes for the village will look like in a year. Mayor, I'd ask you the same question. What's your hope that the village looks like maybe 5 years from now?
5 years from now would be, I think we would have a revitalized downtown by then. The school system has some plans up there for possibly a new building. Our training center is up and active. We have members of the first responder community from all over the East Coast coming here, training in our state-of-the-art center. A vibrant downtown. We're hoping to have people downtown that to open some bars and restaurants and try to get something like some of our neighborhood communities have. That's our end goal, is to have we still want to keep our small town feel. But it would be nice to have some more development and stuff come in town.
Thank you.
I know Senator Vance is in East Palestine today, and I know that he and Senator Brown have been working to pass the Railway Safety Act. Probably we expect anyway now for him to be talking about that. Do any of you have any thoughts about that act and just the way it's kind of being slowly rolled through Congress?
Yeah, it needs to be passed. The efforts that we have made over the last year should be, a key factor in that. I mean, just look what happened to our quiet little community, and it changed the whole dynamic of our town. And it could have done the same for 10 other towns, that same night. That it just happened to not happen to them. The lobbyists need to just, shut the hell up, and we need to get this through and get it passed. So, is it perfect? No. No bill is ever perfect that comes out of Washington, D.C., but it's a good start to help to get stuff going.
I'm going to add a little bit to that. Probably one of the things that they need to do is coordinate a little bit more with first responders to see what we feel on our side, safety-wise, they need to add into that bill. And I haven't received a single phone call yet from anybody.
Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Probably a question for the chief. You brought up how that improvement in communication means also that the training center that's being built. What do you think you've learned from this, responding to something like this? What do you think other first responders have learned?
So I'll reference back to my recommendations I sent to the